Dan Illman, Matt Bernier kicking off the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 at Santa Anita on Saturday with race number 5, the Grade 3 Daytona Stakes. It's a turf dash. We're going 5 furlongs on the lawn. It's one of 3 graded stakes races on the card at Santa Anita on Saturday. Get involved with a DRF Bets account. When you deposit $100 with DRF Bets, you immediately get to bet with $250. Learn more at bets.drf.com. Let's meet the field for race number 5, the Grade 3 Daytona Stakes. Morning line favorite, deservedly so, is the number 3, Eddie Haskell. He wants 5/8 of a mile. He ran well last time out, going 6.5, but he was playing Pee Wee Reese's game that day.
That's the thing, boy. 6.5 is pushing it for him from a distance standpoint, and he wasn't totally embarrassed by Pee Wee Reese, who we know when Pee Wee Reese is sound and feeling good, he is one of the nicer turf horses in Southern California. You brought up the key part, though. Take a look at the career record at 5/8 on grass for this horse. 6 for 9, never out of the money in 9 lifetime starts. The run 2 starts back. That, to me, is good enough to win here. I think he works out a beautiful trip. I can't possibly knock him at 9-5 here.
He has won his last 3 races at this 5/8 of a mile distance, and as Matt mentions, he has wonderful tactical speed. And we'll see where he is according to Timeform US after the first quarter of a mile. Here's the pace projector. That blue bar might bode well for Eddie Haskell because he can be close to a race which will favor horses on or near the early lead, and the horse expected to make the early lead is on the far outside. The number 7, What's on the Agenda, who blitzed him going down the hill 2 starts back, showing some big speed, and I'm willing to forgive that last race at Keeneland. A, it was a fast pace, and I just don't care. B, that he really liked that rain-soaked turf course.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, to keep in mind, we've talked about it often here. Most of the turf horses that go east to west, they have a giant edge. Well, when the turf horses from the west go east, I think they're getting a major class hike. And it's just a situation where a combination of the yielding turf, 5.5, I don't think helps this horse either. I'm just going to draw a line through that. Probably needed the fitness anyway, close to a hot pace. Now, second off the bench, I think he's a dangerous horse. If you don't like any of the other proven ones in here and you believe the pace projector, he's not totally out of the realm of possibility of sneaking loose on the front.
Some handicappers might look at him and say, hey, he won a $40,000 condition claimer 4 starts back, but the fact that he could get loose on a lead in a blue bar Timeform US pace scenario, exiting a key race that was won by a horse that returned to score with a 91 Beyer speed figure, What's on the Agenda fits, and you're right, he might be sneaking under the radar at a pretty nice price. Let's talk a little bit about Horse Greedy. This was just a great claim from John Sadler last year. He claimed this horse for $40,000. He got him graded stakes place, but he has been away now for 231 days, and the jury's still out as to whether he wants turf.
Yeah, to me, it feels a little bit more like a tune-up, if nothing else, because this is a horse that did some good things down at Del Mar last year. He has been gone for a really long time. They could have easily run into Triple Bend later on in the card, but Sistron, his stablemate, is in there. I don't think you want any real part of that, and he's probably not ready, to be honest, off of such a long layoff to go 7/8 against that caliber of runner. I think you get this nice quick sort of blow into him here, and you try to regroup and get ready for a track like Del Mar.
And while he's 0 for 3 on turf, I think you can make excuses for at least 2 of those races. One, it was a 2-turn race early in his career, and he's just not a distance horse. The other one was when he was against Conquest Tsunami, when that horse was just one of the better turf sprinters around. Conquest Tsunami beat Horse Greedy early in 2018, then came back to win the Daytona with a 106 Beyer. The other race, going 5 furlongs, was actually pretty good against Jimmy Bouncer, and we know he does have the speed to keep What's on the Agenda at least somewhat occupied on the front end. A horse that's going to need some pace near the back of the pack is the number 1, Kanthaka, making his turf debut for trainer Jerry Hollendorfer, and Hollendorfer has good numbers according to this formulator fact. Over the past 5 years, with older horses moving from dirt to turf sprints in the 3rd start of the layoff, 30% winners, a $4.38 ROI. You know I'm Kanthaka's biggest fan. I might be his only fan. The Jimmy Creeds, though, they do well enough on the turf, 12%. This dam is a half to a multiple synthetic stakes winning sprinter and a multiple stakes winning turf router in Japan. I'm not worried about surface. I'm not really worried about class. I think he fits with these horses from a class level based on what he did last year, the good second in the Palos Verdes in his seasonal debut against Roy H. You got to be worried about the pace scenario, and the 5 furlongs just might be too short.
I mean, look, these last 2 races, he has been up against just really unfair sort of pace situations. No shot for him. I agree with you. The way that those races were run at Santa Anita on the main track, he was just never going to have an opportunity to win those. So when he shows up here going 5/8 on grass, I can't help but look at it and give it a little bit of side eye. Look, from a talent standpoint, you can make an argument he is every bit as talented as any of the other horses in here. I feel like a broken record. All of a sudden, he has, to me, become my son Opportunity, but the sprint version of him. You got to get him out of Southern California. I think he can run fine on dirt. I'd love to see him at Belmont. Hollendorfer's got a string of horses in New York now. Just if this works, great. Maybe he's going to be a phenomenal turf sprinter. I don't want to find out at a short or middling price. I would love them to give him an opportunity on the East Coast, because I think he can still run. I just don't think California is where he's going to do his best.
Number 5, Brando the Bartender, cuts back significantly in distance, but you know something? It's been a good move for him throughout his career. We usually don't see that on turf. These horses cutting back 3, sometimes 4 furlongs. Doesn't faze Brando the Bartender at all. He's coming out of the Crystal Water Stakes last time out at a mile, and he was able to save ground most of the way. He had to wait a little bit in upper stretch, and then he finished evenly down towards the inside. That race has not come back very strong yet, but this is a horse that can kick at 5, but like Kanthaka, he needs pace.
Yeah, we talked about it going into that Crystal Water. He's the kind of horse, to me, at 6 years old, I feel like 5/8 is just his game right now, that this is really what he wants. And you're right, it is a big turn back in distance. But to me, this 5/8 is kind of a specialist game where you got to have a little bit of tactical ability. Maybe Brando the Bartender doesn't have that in a race like this. He's going to come from farther out of it, but you know that this distance is well within his range. He's one that I definitely want to use.
Blame It on the Law's form looks eerily similar to that of Horse Greedy. He is a horse that has campaigned mostly on the dirt. He is returning off a lengthy layoff, in this case 358 days, but he's also done some very nice things on the dirt in his career. A lot of folks forget he was 3rd in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity behind Nyquist as a 2-year-old. His turf races, I think, are okay. You have to go back about 2 years for his most recent turf start. That was a race in which he was wired by Tizabilly, and he was down towards the inside, seemed very uncomfortable down towards the inside there. Once he got outside, he was able to run, but off this layoff, I wouldn't be surprised if Ron Ellis is just using this as a prep for something.
For me, he feels very much like Horse Greedy, and you said it there. PPs look eerily similar, and I think it's probably going to be a similar situation for both of them. I think the Connections just want to get a blow out of them, try to get some fitness, and move on to whatever the next step is second off the layoff.
Bucky's Pick has been a great claim for trainer Doug O'Neill. He has won 3 out of his last 4 starts. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's dirt or turf, but he is taking a substantial class hike in this race, coming out of a 5-furlong race where he got pace. And
yeah,
I just don't think he's going to get that sort of situation. Excuse me, Matt. I just don't think he's going to get that situation here against tougher horses.
Yeah, but then that's it, just it. And I didn't mean to cut you off. It was the pace. I think that he took advantage of a beautiful situation there that day. Now you couple that with facing better horses this time around. I think he's just a little overmatched.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 Daytona Stakes. Eddie Haskell is just rock solid at this 5-furlong distance. He's your top pick. He's my second pick. He's the other horse that I would use in multiple race wagers with loyalty. I have to go with Kanthaka. I'm banging my head against the desk every single time. Maybe it'll be just a situation where he rallies well for 3rd, and I'll get fooled against him when he stretches out on turf down the road. But I think from a class standpoint, he fits. I'm going 1-3-2-5, but using 1-3 in the multiples. Tell me who else you're using with Eddie Haskell, if anyone.
Yeah, 3-5-7-2 for me. For me, it is the 3 and the 5. They feel like they are the 5/8 specialists. I want both of those. I prefer, obviously, Eddie Haskell over the 5 Brando the Bartender, just from a tactical standpoint as well. But Kanthaka, I'll be curious to see what we get, because you brought it up. The pedigree is there. It's not like this is a totally out of left field move. It feels to me a little bit unfair to the horse, where he hasn't had a fair shake in either of the past 2, and his running style out there on dirt just doesn't work.
We kick off the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 with race number 5 at the Great Race Place on Saturday. Get involved with a DRF Bets account. Deposit $100, bet with $250, because with DRF Bets, it's as easy as ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Daytona, 6:03 Eastern, 3:03 Pacific. Good luck.